Hello, FA-18 adventure in progress. Suggesting one of the comment using dry brush technique, I got the pilot's cabin a bit dirty. It gets much more natural look, especially black elements of the cabin. After gluing the lower part of the hull, I noticed that it didn't fit the rest of the model. It was too tight. I made such mini dowels and left this part for a few days to bend plastic. As you can see, after this procedure, the parts fit almost perfectly. I pasted the pilot's cabin and then the bottom of the fuselage to the rest of the model. As I mentioned earlier, the model is not perfectly fitted. Assembling it, we will notice many gaps. Here is where the putty comes in handy. In my case, it's Tamiya basic putty, grey. I filled all necessary places, then let it dry and sand it properly. Then I pasted the air intakes. You should be careful pasting it on the right side because their shape is almost identical. I also pasted the wings. Thanks to this, the plane finally gets some more combat look. Then I decided to prepare the chassis components. As a standard, I cut out all the elements and sanded it with a file. I decided to fill the small gaps in wheels also with Tamiya putty. I also pasted one of the transparent elements and masked it before painting. I prepared other elements such as flaps or brackets. Let's proceed to armament. In the model we have two painting options for the GBU 12 bombs. I chose the grey version. I also decided to install 2 bombs on each wing. At the wing tips I'm gonna mount AIM-9 Sidewinder air-to-air guided missiles. I also decided to mount 2 AAS-38 FLIR and a passive ASQ-173 instead of Sparrow rockets. So I started cutting out all the elements. After the exact leveling of the surface, I glued rockets, bombs and a vertical ejector rack that allows to mount 2 bombs on one wing. I also glued external fuel tanks, prepared stabilizers, and then started gluing hull elements. After assembling the FLIR camera, I noticed that it has gaps on top. Using a putty and a knife, I made a reconstruction of this element. Time for painting. As a primer I used Mr. Finishing Surfacer 1500 grey, mixed it with Mr. Leveling Thinner in 1:2 proportion. Pressure of the compressor about 20 psi. After the primer has dried, I noticed that the connecting lines on the fuel tanks are very visible. I decided to make some corrections, so I sanded the lines properly and primed the tanks once again. The elements on the chassis and in the bottom part of the wings are in grey, color number 308. With the same color I also painted rockets and bombs. Looking at the Sidewinder pictures on the internet, I noticed that the rocket has dark grey ailerons, so I masked the rocket wings thoroughly and painted with Mr. Color number 317. The front section of the rocket was painted black. Before applying the decals, all rockets, bombs and fuel tanks were covered with transparent gloss varnish number 46. I've diluted it with the proportions about 1 to 4. After about 2 hours the varnish dried, so I took care of decals. I cut out all the necessary parts and using microset and microsol liquids I began to put them on rockets. Working with decals goes smooth. Unfortunately, some of them are described incorrectly. I must admit that for me, as for a total beginner, it was a big problem when it comes to aviation. Reviewing the photographs on the internet, I finally chose the correct decals for the fighter's armament. With rockets, it was very simple. You only have to put one decal. There is much more work with bombs. On one bomb you need to paste 14 decals. After about 2 hours I've applied all decals to bombs and rockets. I have to admit that they look very good and the level of details is very satisfactory. That's it for today, another video in about 2 weeks. The holiday season has begun, so I hope that some of you are already on a well-deserved holiday. Take a rest and see you soon. Bye.